This happened a year ago, and I still haven't fully processed it. I was on a solo road trip from Texas to Utah, taking a couple of weeks to clear my head after a rough breakup. I planned my stops carefully, never drove too late, kept people updated on my location, and only stopped at busy gas stations or rest stops. But that night, I made a mistake. I had misjudged the distance between towns and was running on fumes somewhere in western New Mexico. It was past 10 p.m., and the highway was empty for miles. I finally saw a blue gas sign and took the next exit, figuring it'd be quick in and out. The station was off. Only one pump worked. The overhead lights flickered, and the whole place was quiet. No other cars, no music playing inside, nothing. Just a single man behind the counter watching a small TV. Still, I needed gas. I pulled up to the working pump and got out. The card reader didn't work, so I had to go inside. The man behind the counter was in his late 40s, balding, wearing a green hoodie and dirty jeans. He didn't say anything when I walked in, just looked me up and down slowly, then back to his TV. "Pump 2, I said, forcing a polite smile. "Can I get a fill-up?" He rang me up without a word. I handed him my card, and as I waited for it to process, I noticed he was holding a flip phone under the counter, his thumb tapping rapidly. He looked up, saw me watching, and said flatly, "Long way from anywhere." "Yeah, just passing through," I muttered. "You traveling alone?" That question put me on edge. I lied immediately. "No, my brother's in the car." The man just nodded, handed back my card, and didn't say another word. I walked out fast, the hair on the back of my neck standing up. I started pumping gas, glancing nervously around me. I told myself I was overreacting, that I'd be gone in 60 seconds. But then, a van pulled in. Fast. It screeched around the corner of the lot and came to a hard stop directly behind my car, blocking me in. 2 men jumped out. One headed straight for me. The other flanked around the pump. I didn't even have time to scream. The first guy grabbed my arm, twisting it behind my back, while the second clamped a hand over my mouth and dragged me toward the van. I kicked, bit, fought like hell, but they were stronger. They shoved me into the back, zip-tied my wrists, and threw a blanket over my head. The last thing I saw before they slammed the doors shut was the man inside the station, standing in the window, watching, doing nothing. They drove for what felt like hours. The van smelled like gasoline and old takeout. I was tossed around in the back, wrists burning, completely disoriented. I thought about jumping out while it moved, about biting through the zip ties, about whether this was the last night I'd be alive. Eventually, the van slowed. I could feel it turn off onto gravel. The road got rough. Then it stopped completely. The engine cut. I could hear them talking outside, arguing. One of them said something about needing a better place and getting the other one ready. That's when I realized I wasn't alone. There was someone else in the van, tied up like me. I whispered, "Hey, are you okay?" No response. I pulled the blanket off and looked over. It was a girl, barely conscious. She looked maybe 18, pale, terrified. That lit something in me. I spotted a tool bag under one of the side benches, crawled toward it, wrists still bound, and used a pair of pliers to slowly saw through the zip tie on my left wrist. My hands were shaking. It felt like it took forever. Outside, I heard one of the men say, "I'll go grab her." I freed one wrist, then the other. I leaned over, untied the girl, and shook her awake. "We have to run," I whispered. She nodded weakly, and we braced ourselves. The door swung open, and we were already moving. I slammed it into the man's face and sprinted into the trees, dragging the girl behind me. They chased us, shouting, crashing through the brush, but we were faster. We ran blindly through the woods until we saw headlights, a road. I waved both arms, screaming, and a pickup truck screeched to a stop. The driver was an older man, stunned, but the second he saw our faces, he let us in and called 911. By the time the police arrived, the men and the van were long gone. The gas station was investigated, but the guy inside claimed he saw nothing. They couldn't prove he was involved. The girl I escaped with had been missing for 4 days. I still have dreams about that night, still flinch at the sound of vans. But I got away, barely, and I don't stop at empty gas stations anymore. I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood right outside of town, the kind where all the backyards connected, and there were wooded trails that cut between clusters of houses. If you followed one of those trails for 5 or 6 minutes, it led to an old park tucked away at the edge of a dry creek bed. Most people forgot it existed. It had rusted monkey bars, a sand pit that cats basically used as a litter box, and a busted merry-go-round that creaked even when no one touched it. But to us, it was ours. That fall, we were in that phase of growing up where you're not quite a teenager, but you think you're invincible. Me, my best friend Eli, plus Marcus, Trey, and Dom, we'd all started staying out later, bringing a speaker, trying to act cool, lighting firecrackers behind the benches, that kind of stuff. It was a Friday night in October, chilly but not cold, the kind of night where the sky is clear and the whole world feels still. We all met up around 9:30 after dinner and snuck out to the playground. I remember we brought Sour Patch Kids, a few cans of soda, and Trey brought one of those tiny Bluetooth speakers that barely worked. We set it up under the slide and sat in a circle near the edge of the grass, just talking about school and girls and music. It was dumb and harmless. We weren't doing anything wrong until that car pulled in. We'd been at the park for maybe an hour when we heard tires rolling over gravel. All of us looked toward the small lot at the edge of the woods, and there it was, a dark gray sedan, tinted windows, just idling. It didn't park right, just sat there, angled toward the playground, headlights off, engine running. At first, we thought maybe it was a cop or someone waiting to pick up a kid, but no one got out. No one rolled down the window. We stopped talking and just watched. After a minute, Marcus stood up and shouted, "Yo, you need something?" No answer. Dom added, "You lost or what?" Still nothing. That's when Eli picked up a small rock, nothing big, and whipped it toward the car. Not at it, but close. It bounced off the edge of the sidewalk and skidded into the front bumper. The car shut off, all at once. Then the driver's door opened, and a man stepped out. He didn't yell. He didn't say a word. He just stood there for a second, then started walking toward us. Slow, focused. His face was pale in the moonlight, and he was wearing dark clothes, hood up, hands in his pockets. We didn't wait. "Run!" Trey shouted, and we bolted toward the woods. The 5 of us split up like scared animals. 2 went one way, 3 the other. I ran with Eli and Marcus, crashing through the tree line. Branches whipped at our faces. My legs burned as we ran harder than we ever had before. Behind us, we could hear footsteps. Not sprinting, but steady, deliberate, like he knew where we were going. At one point, we stopped behind a fallen tree, trying to catch our breath. "We lost him," Marcus whispered. Then we heard the leaves crunching, right behind us. We ran again, but Eli tripped, hard. I turned back and saw him face down, groaning. Marcus hesitated for a second, then kept running. I ran back to help him up, but before I could reach him, I saw the man's silhouette emerge from the trees. I froze. He was holding something. I'll never forget the glint of it in the moonlight, something long and sharp. A tire iron, maybe, or worse. Eli looked up at me, wide-eyed. "Run." "No, run." I ran. I wish I could say I fought back, or stayed, or helped. But I didn't. I ran all the way through the woods, across someone's yard, and collapsed in Dom's back garden. I was screaming, gasping, begging someone to call the cops. By the time they got there, Eli was gone. They searched for hours, found the car abandoned a few blocks away. No prints, no plate. They found Eli 2 days later, stuffed in a drainage pipe near the creek bed, less than a mile from where we left him. He'd been beaten, strangled, and whoever did it never got caught. We gave the best descriptions we could, but none of us had seen his face, just his shape, his silence, his speed. It tore our group apart. Trey stopped coming to school. Dom moved away. Marcus never talked about it again. I still don't go outside after dark. The cops said it was random. Wrong place, wrong time. But I don't believe that. I think he was watching, waiting. And we gave him exactly what he needed, a reason to act. Eli threw a rock at the wrong guy, and he never came home. I survived the fall, barely. This happened in May of last year, and if things had gone just slightly differently, I wouldn't be here to tell you about it. I've always liked hiking, not in some extreme outdoorsman kind of way. I just liked getting away from people, from work, from noise. Trails were where I went to think. Reset. I had a bucket list goal of hiking every major trail in my region, and that Saturday, I was supposed to hit number 28. The trail was called Bearjaw Ridge, about an hour outside town. It wasn't popular, narrow, steep in places, and poorly marked, but I'd read about it online and wanted to try it. Most of the reviews mentioned that it had a few risky areas, but nothing too intense. I left early, parked at the trailhead by 9 a.m., and started hiking solo. It was peaceful, quiet. Birds chirping, wind in the trees, the occasional squirrel darting past the brush. I had my Camelback, a small pack with snacks, and my phone in my back pocket. About 3 miles in, the trail thinned out along a stretch of rock face. It wasn't a full cliff, but the left side was a steep drop-off, maybe 50 or 60 feet down, to a mess of broken rocks and thorns. I should have turned around. There was a downed tree blocking part of the path, and the only way forward was to shimmy along the edge, hugging the rock wall. I took a breath, tested my footing, and started across. For the first few feet, it was fine. Then my left boot slipped, just half an inch, but it was enough. My weight shifted, I lost my balance, and my right foot came off the ledge. I tried to grab the tree for balance, but it snapped in my hand, and I fell. I don't remember hitting the ground. All I remember is the sound, a wet, cracking thud, and then blackness. When I came to, I was staring up at the sky, dust in my mouth, and a pain in my chest so sharp I thought I was dying. I couldn't breathe right, couldn't move my legs. I blinked until my vision cleared and tried to roll over, but the pain in my back and hip was blinding. My right arm wouldn't move, and my ankle was bent at a sickening angle. I started crying. Not from the pain, though it was the worst I've ever felt, but from the realization that I was stuck, alone, at the bottom of a ravine. No one knew I was there. I reached for my phone, fumbling behind me to grab it. Crushed. The screen was shattered, and the back was bent like it had been smashed with a rock. I started yelling, screaming, hoping maybe another hiker was nearby, but my voice echoed into nothing. It was around 11 a.m., and I was already out of options. The next few hours were a blur. I drifted in and out of consciousness. My mouth dried out. The pain got worse. I couldn't sit up, couldn't walk, couldn't even crawl. Every time I moved, it felt like something sharp was grinding inside my hip. I remember checking the sky constantly, watching the light shift, wondering how long it would take to die from exposure. I had water in my pack, but I couldn't reach it. I was trapped in a broken body with no way to move. I remember the flies landing on my cuts, crawling on my lips, and I remember thinking, this is it. But around 6 p.m., after 7 hours of laying in the same spot, I heard something. Footsteps, real ones, then a voice. Hello? I tried to yell but couldn't. My voice cracked. So I slammed my broken boot against a nearby rock over and over. Eventually, a man appeared at the top of the ravine. An older hiker, white beard, red flannel, shock on his face as he spotted me below. "Don't move!" he shouted. "I'm calling for help!" I started sobbing. 30 minutes later, I heard the rotors of a rescue chopper. A whole team came down with harnesses. I passed out halfway through being lifted up. I woke up in the hospital the next day. 7 broken bones, a dislocated hip, severe dehydration. 1 more hour, they said, and I might have gone into shock or worse. The ranger who spoke to me later told me they don't recommend Bearjaw Ridge. Too unstable. Too many close calls. He asked if I had told anyone I was going. I hadn't. I thought I'd be back before lunch. I thought I was careful. Now I always tell someone. Always check in. Always double check the trail warnings. And I never put my phone in my back pocket. Because I survived that fall. Barely. Thanks for stopping by the channel. We hope you enjoyed these 3 truly terrifying stories. If you want to hear more just like this one, subscribe to our channel and turn notifications on so you can be reminded when we post a new long-form video every Tuesday at 10 a.m. If you have a story you'd like to hear read on the channel, email it to us at officialnightmarenarratives@gmail.com, and you might just hear your story read in a future episode. Thanks again for listening, and stay spooky, friends. We'll catch you in the